So it's September the 1st, and I've been doing some little stuff here and there to put together, but that can wait. I figure it's time we'll do our monthly tour of the garden, or at least the highlights. And it's a hot and humid day too, so I'm probably not going to do a whole lot other than this today out here, at least not till the evening. So we'll start here in the fenced-in garden, the veg garden, the garden proper, whatever you want to call it. And this brassica bed has been cleared out. You can see there's still some kale going. There's some peppers over there, some celery. This bed too got cleared. She's planted quite a few things now. I think there's some arugula in there. Oh, no, what we got? Sun hybrid, so that's coming. We still continue to not have any success with the cucumbers. These here are doing pretty good, but this is probably our last attempt at them this year. These were started in trays and then planted out. It was just so dry out here. They all would sprout when we plant seeds in, and then they would die. So hopefully these will do okay. That tomato is a full-on volunteer from somewhere. And then we've also planted, on this side are some radishes, the longer-term radishes like the daikons and stuff. And then over here, she's planted a lot of like the 20, 30-day radishes. What this is, growing up here, is some bitter melon. Not, is it bitter melon? I think it's bitter melon. It's bitter something, I forget. I just know that I like to use it in stir fry. It goes really well in a good Asian stir fry because it has this obviously bitter taste. So that actually is doing pretty well now. New round of beans coming up in the back, which are also doing pretty well. I can't tell, is there anything, I don't see any fruit yet, but they're doing pretty well. Oh, of course, the basil. There's basil everywhere. We keep pinching flowers to keep it going. These peppers have done, I'm really happy with them. I think they look really nice too as they've grown up and, you know, created this high canopy, which has been helpful for the beets and the chard and all that. So that's good. I actually came through here and cut everything down as far as the living pathway that goes. We got some grass going in here. There's still some clover. I just reseeded a lot of the bare spots because we're getting to that time of year to reseed. There is some of that bindweed, but as long as it stays out of the beds, I'm happy with that. What I really wanted was a nice path to walk on that isn't going to become a muddy mess in the winter. And it's still a work in progress. Lots of things really in that strawberry bed. Some of the plants have done well, some of them not. Some of them ground berries that aren't really strawberries are in there. So this is, because the plants that were put in are at the end of their cycle, the plan right now is to clear this whole bed out, put in some fresh compost most likely, and then replant all new strawberry plugs in here. So that'll be coming. Our male kiwis are doing really well. This one is doing fantastic. I think the other one might be doing a little better. And we'll look at that bed on the other side when we get out there. But yeah, the male kiwis, some potatoes. The deer have been eating the sweet potato vines. But this male kiwi is doing really, really well. So that's good. That's at least the males are doing good. I will look at the others in a little bit. Then we'll go over the tomatoes. There will be a video on the tomatoes, maybe not till the winter, but we'll see on the whole process with the tomatoes. They have not done as well this year. I had to prune them really hard when we came back from vacation. Probably should have done it before I left. We're starting to get some more fruit. Like they were late last year too, but this year they just did not do well. I'm not seeing a whole lot of flowers. But like I said, that's starting to pick up now. Over here in the, what is the cherry tomato bed, where I need to tie some things in and clip them in. Things are a little better. Lots of cherry tomatoes to come and to ripen. And we'll get tomatoes at least through September usually. A lot of times through most of October before we have a hard frost here. So we'll let them go until then. I mean, I'll probably top them. Oh, if I top them at all, it'll be at the end of September, beginning of October. Again, like everything had to be pruned really hard. I think there's some hornworms in here, but they're starting to do a little better now. Those will start coming back down. Like these are 8 feet tall, and it's already happened over on the others. These tomatoes will start growing back down. So it's been a mixed bag. I really like the Queen of the Nights. I think they did really well. So did the Sart Rolets early on. It's just been the like middle of summer and later where they struggled. And of course, that line of grow bags, the eggplants have done really well in them. For years, we would start eggplants, give a whole bunch away for people because we had so many starts, and then our eggplants wouldn't perform, and their eggplants would do fantastic. So this year we didn't give any away, and we've done all right on eggplants. The bees are doing okay. That one hive there needs some love. I took all the honey supers off of it when I came out here to harvest honey a couple weeks back. Harvested about 25 pounds of honey. There's probably more to be done, but it's about time to get in them, start getting get rid of some of the brood boxes on there, see what they've really done down in the bottom there. Because I tend to leave them, if some of this is another beekeeper at a gathering, it's like they know what they're doing. Bees know what they're doing. We just want to kind of help and give them better environmental conditions. The area around the pond is doing really nice, I feel like. Really lush. It's got its own little microclimate of moisture here. There are at least 2 frogs in there. They've been hiding from me more. It needs some more water. So it will probably get some more water later today or tomorrow. I've been hoping for more rain, but we'll be adding water and figuring out what, if anything, I need to do for these marginals. I know the water lilies will be fine. They're sunk deep enough in there that they were below the freeze line, but I don't know about the marginals. And we'll figure that out. But all in all, I'm really happy with how the pond turned out. Much better than just the hole in the ground and what I had there before. So yeah, this is also the only place the coleaces have done well. Which these coleaces were in their plugs so long, I thought they were pretty much going to be done when I planted them, but they have done really well here, and I think that's in part due to the little bit moisture climate, and that around here I actually put down a mix of my homemade compost with the compost we get from the dump, and that seemed to work really, really well. Here in these grow boxes that belong to my father, the basil's doing well. The tomatoes have done really well. Some of these are determinate varieties. A little more bushy, they're kind of done, but not all of them, because some of the determinates died and we just put in determinates. There's some peppers back in here. Yeah, and then basil just does really well here. You can see the beginnings, and we'll take another closer look at it later, but the beginnings of the squash and pumpkin takeover of the yard. A little more spread out this year, but that's going well. There's some large pumpkins we'll look at. Just give me 1 second because I want to show you how well this is done. Continues to kind of, one of the few things I did this year that kind of turned out as well as I wanted it to turn out. There's some weeding and stuff that needs to be done. We'll do some more planting. Really want to overplant in here to keep that weed pressure back, but this is done really well. Most of that grass that's in there is from that batch of straw that I got with all the grass seeds in it. None of this turned out like how I wanted it, but I do think the Spanish flag, even though it wasn't as large as I thought, or didn't bloom as low as I would have liked, I think it's gorgeous up there, high like that. So hopefully it's self-seeding here, or I'll get some more. And I think next year the goal will be to grow the Spanish flag up and then maybe do a little more lower planting down here and add like a small bush or something that's going to vine, but maybe not vine as high. We don't talk about this as much because it usually doesn't do well, and it's actually not doing great right now. Even though the pumpkins are doing, there's some pitiful corn back there too, it looks like. But the issue here, there's a lot of things. One, it doesn't get watered as much because it's further back, but also this is the only bed I tilled. every other bed here is a no-dig bed, and I've tried to convert this more to no-dig, but I tilled this, and I tilled in a bunch of compost and stuff in it when we started, and I did that the first 2 years, and it just has not performed well, which is, you know, why we do no-till most places. This impromptu tomato bed has done all right. Got some more weed pressure down here than I would like. I originally had planted this so it would be easy to weed, and then as happens, somebody saw gaps and thought they would go and plant in them, and so we're dealing with that a little bit. But I had an experiment going here with what mulch worked better, and that kind of ruined that experiment. But this guy, I was going to do the single seed challenge, which, if you know what it is, it's just where you grow one seed and track it all year. And then I planted that seed and just never tracked or anything. But if these tiny Tims, they're like these little teaspoon tomatoes, very small, like beyond even a cherry tomato, but they are absolutely full of flavor. Easily enough flavor for a tomato, like 3 times the size. But they're growing, they're coming in pretty well. Happy with that. As promised, here's more of the pumpkin takeover that's going on. You can see we got a rather large guy there. Whenever I find one, I cut the leaves from around it so that the pumpkin gets plenty of sunlight to form a good skin and grow a little better, and to make it easier to find. There is another one that is growing in that grow bag there. We'll find a good shot of it. Yes, in this grow bag is a pumpkin that just decided to grow up and go there, and I need to come cut the leaves from around it. But they have a mind of their own. That's what you do with the pumpkins. You just let them grow. We got a white pumpkin going here. That's going to be pretty good. Looks like this guy was probably the first one we saw, and he's doing really well, really sturdy. And I'm sure there's more out here I don't see. That happens every year. These female kiwis have not really done much of anything. I hope there's some roots going on, but I doubt it. I need to come and tie in some of these grapevines. This cowart is doing way better than it did last year. That's one of my jobs for this week, is to kind of tie in some more of these vines. Of course, that one's going to need to be pruned come this winter. But these that we planted this year are doing much better. The kiwis, it's kind of hit or miss. I have one that's doing pretty well. Seems to be. We got these trombochinos in here, taking advantage of this, what was supposed to be a kiwi trellis. But this kiwi is doing okay, and it's growing. So that's good. Hopefully at least one will do well. We keep trying. Two things to show you here. We have these side beds to the greenhouse are still doing well, even though I tore down the greenhouse, or at least I'm in the process of tearing it down and rebuilding it. That will hopefully be something I film enough of to make its own video of rebuilding the new one, and what I liked about this one and what I didn't. But yeah, that's its own thing. It's kind of an eyesore. That's all probably coming off this weekend, so I can move the frame and start on the new one. But yeah, this stuff is doing really well. The cannas, everything over here. This squash bed has performed admirably. We've gotten a lot of patty pans and squashes out of here. There's a patty pan right down here that I'll have to come back and get later. But the summer squashes have done better this year than ever. The Jerusalem artichokes seem to be dying back, which is a little early for that, I feel like, but you know, it is what it is. There are probably plenty of them down in there to eat that we will dig out and eat later. The celery's still doing well over here. I added some compost to it because I had to clear out the compost to make room to turn over the pile that needed to be turned, and let to work its magic. So yeah, this button bush is doing really well. I'm really happy with how it's done. This year, it's really sprouted up this year. And that's something we're gonna do over the winter. And I'm gonna go through some of my footage and compile it by area or by plant and kind of review how things have gone and talk about my thoughts on that, and make plans for next year. That's kind of the plan. These blackberries have not really produced any blackberries, but the growth for next year looks really good over here. I'll show you the blackberries that produced. These have done really well. I don't know, I probably ate a few dozen off of here throughout the year. They didn't come all at once. I even had a huge one yesterday. You can see there's still a berry there, which is a little late. I think I'm going to do some trellising and maybe some fencing for these guys, because these for next year look pretty big. I'm really excited about that, how big that blackberry cane is. But this has been the spot for the blackberries. I think this is, in nature, that's where they grow. They grow along edges and borders. They don't grow in full sun. So the shade garden has survived. Some of the ferns have had their tough moments, but the pawpaw is doing well, it looks like. The hostas are doing pretty well. You know, it got really hot and really dry. That grass is doing really well there. I'm going to have to go in and weed this. We will, when the time comes, refresh in and edge this a little better. But we're over here really. I mean, the hydrangeas were doing really well until the deer found them. But really what I wanted to look at was we finally put up the birdhouse. I don't think anybody has moved in. I say we, I mean me. But if, you know, I used hanger straps. Those will, of course, rust and patina over time and you won't even notice them. I forgot to take the price tag off. But we'll leave it at a little tribute to old Minnie Pearl for those of you who are old enough to have ever watched Hee-Haw. But yeah, I'm not dissatisfied with what's going on here. Hopefully these things will grow in more next year, and do a little better. But the big things are doing what I want them to do. The pawpaw and the ferns and the hydrangeas, they're growing. Like I said, the deer got a hold of them, but not too worried. Nothing too exciting here. Still some stuff in the bags doing well. We've definitely harvested some potatoes over here, some eggplants. Came in and went ahead and started planting some of the salad crops over here, for as things cool down, and this is a shaded area. So we'll be ready with new salad crops as the kale dies out on the other side, which it probably will do this year. So that'll be good. And that did really well over here before. We just never harvested any of it. So yeah, we should have some salad crops over here. Nothing too exciting with the trees or the orchard, except for one thing, which we're going to take a look at now, is the figs. We've probably gotten about 5 or 6 figs. Finally started getting figs. There's some on there. That one's still got to ripen, that guy. But the figs have done really well. We'll look at the other one in a minute. Everything else, like I said, I'm not really expecting fruit yet. They're still getting established. They're still growing their root systems, still growing their canopies, and I'm not really, you know, I haven't really expected things to make it to harvest. The zinnias are still doing pretty well when they finally got going. That sunflower is kind of funny, you know, that we got one 8-foot tall sunflower out here just proud and lording over everyone. I had to tie those up some to keep them up, but I just, you know, simple tied them. All this is a mess and obviously needs to be cut, but nothing died as far as the trees go, and they all tend to seem like they're thriving, and they're, you know, they'll be ready to have fruit here in another year or two. This is the other fig, which has done really well and has quite a few figs on it still to ripen. The privet is still there. I have not destroyed it yet, but that is one of my goals, to destroy that privet. I had to clear all the black-eyed Susies. They were all dead and taking everything over, and you can see someone got in there and weeded everything. It was not me. But I did clear the black-eyed Susies. This has been taken over by weeds that I was pretty sure somebody told me weren't weeds, but then they took over. And in the past, the bees were all over it, but this year they're not. So there's that. This grape is doing well. I had to top it a while back to get it to grow in the two directions like I want. Same thing over here with this one, but that seems to be working out pretty well. They're about due a feed here in a couple days. Some people say you should wait till they start fruiting, but Ison's where we got these are very much like, no, like go ahead and feed them and help them get established, and you'll get fruit sooner. Crossing our fingers for watermelons this year. There were a couple that I just picked too late. I didn't think they were ready yet, and then I came out here and they looked rotted, but I cut into them, and where it wasn't rotten, it was right. So yeah, they just weren't getting as big as I thought. That's an ice box. That's probably not too far from done. There's some in here, another ice box, I think. One that I'm not sure what it is. Haven't really seen the cantaloupes or the honeydews, though I suspect that might be actually be a cantaloupe or honeydew. We'll see if it gets bigger. The kale is doing great. The whiteflies love it. But I have come and harvested some and had like kale salad for a few days for lunch last week. Just had to wash it really good, but it's doing really well. It'll be done probably the end of this year though. But you can see there's still zinnias and stuff in the driveway bed. It just says weeds. They kind of took over while we were gone for the week. And that's what happened, and it's too late. So yeah, we'll finish up as usual with a walk around the keyhole, which some things are doing really well in the keyhole, and those are not. They've kind of been spent, but they were real beautiful when they were going. We've got the Persian blue catnip is back. Need to come here through here and deadhead the dahlias. But they've done really well. We're going to keep feeding them in there. Really happy with how they've done. That one's pretty much done. But yeah, they've done really well in here. The little hummingbird bushes have done well. I think that we'll take a look. I think the lavender is going to do really well here over time. We got those two lavenders. This thing is starting to come back. The blue storm, it has another name, but it's starting to come back. That's good. There's new growth on it. So yeah, still the best seat in the house, if for no other reason than it's shaded. But yeah, that's the garden going into September and coming out of August. The good, the bad, and the ugly of what's going on. And so yeah, if you stuck around this long, God bless you. And well, that's it for today.